Hey up folks, it's John from Black Star Studio. I'm bringing you the promised Tier 2 Tyranid video today. Hopefully this will be somewhat watchable. Unfortunately I've been filming these on my phone's camera, which isn't brilliant. One of the reasons the videos keep going in and out of focus. I'll talk you through the process as we go on this one. I've been having a right argument with the editing software, so there's no fancy titles or anything on this one. It's just going to be me jabbering over the top of it. So without further ado, let's get into it. I started out with the airbrush on this one. I primed it in Vallejo white previously. This is a mix of Vallejo Dead Flesh and Citadel's Druchii Violet wash. Not too much of the wash, just enough to give it a slightly purplish cast. That's followed up with a layer of hexed lichen I sprayed just over the carapace parts. I didn't worry too much about being super accurate here, but I tried to avoid darkening too much of the flesh. Once I'd done the hexed lichen, I went over it again with a quick layer of Vallejo black ink, just to darken down the central parts of the carapaces. And at the moment it looks like the camera's not doing particularly well, but it does come into focus at some times. Once I'd finished with the airbrush, I got some more hexed lichen and just went round the carapace to touch up the parts that the airbrush hadn't caught, the very edges, where I've tried to keep the dark purple at least a little bit away from the flesh. Once that's done, I move on and I do a little bit of two brush blending with the hexed lichen before I start adding some Vallejo Alien Purple into the mix to lighten it up a little bit. And we'll see that coming up in the not too distant future. Yeah, the camera's going a little bit out of focus here. Sorry about that. I will hopefully be able to get a new camera that understands the idea of a macro setting at some point in the new year. Yeah, the airbrush got most of the areas that I wanted it to get, but as I say, from the angle I'm spraying from, it doesn't hit all of the edging, not without me spraying the rest of the Tyranid in the same colour. Still a little bit more to go. The way I did the blending for this one was a fairly standard two brush blend. I just put some of the Alien Purple hexed lichen mix on the edges of the carapace piece, and then used a clean wet brush to blend that down so that the carapace plates were lighter towards the edges and darker where they're slipping under. Make sure that we'll be able to see me starting on the blending here. This is just with the plain hexed lichen, and here we are now with the mixture. Actually no, I think we've gone on to the flesh now, which is where I took the mix I'd previously made with the hexed lichen and Alien Purple, and mixed it into some Vallejo Bone White to make a very pale purplish white to put a layer over all of the flesh. I mean, this will go on for a little bit, so I've cut it down to a more viewable length. This was the part of the model that took the longest going over with the layer here. Again, it's a simple layer. I've gone round, made sure I've not painted into any of the recesses, so I've left the shade there, and I've followed that up with a pure bone white highlight, and after that I just hit with a dry brush of Citadel's Terminator Stone. I quite like their dry paints. It's just a lot less effort when it comes to cleaning the brush off. And you can see me coming in here now. This is the plain bone white. Actually, no, we've moved past that now. Apparently, this is the red. I've painted the weapons up with Vallejo Gory Red, which I've then highlighted with Bloody Red. I put a wash of Caribird Crimson down actually before I did the highlighting, and then once that had all dried up, I used Vallejo Hot Orange just to give it a more of a popping highlight, just make it stand out a little bit more. I don't know if you can see particularly well at the moment. I mean, the camera's very, very blurred here. It seems to be insisting on focusing on my glasses case and screwdriver. But yeah, I mean, this bit with the Gory Red, again, exactly the same process as I did with the flesh. Essentially, I'm just going round the areas that need to be red, and layering them with the Gory Red. I mean, I'm not worrying about any of the recesses or anything here. I mean, even the vents on the weapons, and I come back in later on to tidy those up when I do the neatening up at the end. But I just layer over all of the parts that need to be red entirely, and build up from there. It's it was a lot quicker to do than the flesh was, obviously being a smaller part, but some of the parts were quite difficult to reach effectively. Now you can see me coming in with the touch up. This is where I painted in the vents on the weapons, tidied up the vents in the flesh, made sure all the joints were tidy. I also added a final highlight to the flesh of Vallejo Dead White, just to bring out that final highlight on it. And I used a little bit of Citadel Lamenter's Yellow Glaze just to do the eyes on the Termagant and on the flesh borer. Then, having done that, I based up the Termagant using a little bit of sand and some Citadel Agrellan Badland, I think it was, and then I've painted over that with Vallejo Sand Yellow, Desert Yellow, washed it with a couple of different washes just to give it a more varied tone, dry brushed it with Citadel Dryad Bark, and popped a nice little tuft of grass on there. Thanks for watching the video, guys. If you want to see some more content, want to see some more of my painting videos, perhaps a few tutorials in the future, a bit more in-depth stuff perhaps, then please give me a subscribe, thumbs up. Check out my Facebook page. The link for that should be in the description for the video. Also, please do take a look at my Patreon page. If we can get a few of you guys to support me on Patreon, then that gets me a little bit closer to getting better equipment and having you know, better and more in focus videos in the future. But yeah, give us a subscribe, pop onto Facebook, give us a like there. There's going to be more photos, more updates and the like coming in all across the new year. I'm going to be taking a break for Christmas now, but hopefully I'll see you guys all in the new year. Happy Christmas, happy wargaming.